Hi, guys. Thank you for being patient. We're starting finally. I appreciate everybody waiting. There's 40 something of you here. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let me know if you can hear me okay and if everything's working because I feel like I saw AV commented. She's like, where'd it go? Bethany's going through her own dark night of the soul with Zion not going to sleep. I swear he's a great sleeper. And then the one day that I need him to sleep, he's like, let's have a party. So anyhow, thank you for being so understanding. I really appreciate you guys. You're amazing. Babies come first. I appreciate that so much. Fingers crossed. Yeah. It's just like, anyway, I won't complain. Okay, so it looks like, yes, you can hear me okay? Okay, good. Hi. I don't know if there's a delay or anything, so I'll try to catch up with the comments in 1 second. But really quick, let me pull up our Butterbook document today and give you guys a quick tour. So in case you don't know, this is just Google Docs, and I will give you a tour in a minute, but we're going to scroll to the side, table of contents, all the way to the bottom. I tried to hide it for those of you who have access already, and I snuck this in at the bottom. Our plan today, we are doing the Bad Guys Close In, the All Is Lost, and the Dark Night of the Soul beat, which I think is especially funny that I'm having a little Dark Night of the Soul myself. But my hubby's going to come home. He typically works on Saturdays, but his job's flexible. So he's like, I'll come home and then you don't have to stress. And like, because literally he could keep going. So anyhow, so he's here with Zion. And I'm like, thank you so much. So we're going to have, I do want to do a quick tour of our BBBD as, who called it that in the other live stream? Let me know if that was you. And I'll explain Dark Night of the Soul in a second, Rachel. Don't worry. This is, in fact, I'll explain it now because that's a good thing to start with. It is a story beat in Save the Cat Writes a Novel. You can do this version or the Save the Cat Writes a Novel, the regular version. We're just doing an outline based on the, I guess, outlining process in those two books. And so these story beats come right after the midpoint. So if you haven't watched the previous live streams, don't worry. I will also do a read through of our outline so far. And we have outlined all the way from opening image to the midpoint. So a big, big chunk of the book. And I will also answer this in a second, but I don't want to let myself get distracted. Hi. So we're going to do this week's poll, and I'm going to share what you guys voted on. It was really fun because we had some names again. I love voting on names. And then we're going to read through, like, I guess the questions is what I put for the story beats that I just talked about that we're brainstorming today. And then also I'm hoping, well, after we start brainstorming, I'm hoping to start with the Bad Guys Close In, obviously, All Is Lost, Dark Night of the Soul, those specific beats that we have planned today. But I would also really like to do some questions for our next poll so we know specific things we want to decide. And then if there's time, get to know our characters more. So I'll check these boxes as we go. And then also I put a note for myself, but also for you guys. Would you enjoy it if I did a giveaway of one of my novel planners? Because since we're doing surveys, all I would have to do is add in, I think I would say, I need your full name, mailing address if you win, email so I can contact you, and that's it. And then I could let you guys know in the final live stream, one of you, if you do the survey that we do every week, then you would get access to this. So I'll talk more about that soon, but just let me know if you would want that, if you would enjoy this. If you haven't seen my novel planner, it's just like, literally, it's got writing trackers, it's got to-do lists, it's got just regular notes in the back, but then it also has, I think, 2 different outlines. Oops, that's the week planner. I don't remember where the outlines are in here. And then I really love the front. Hold on, let me find my favorite page for you. This page. And if you don't want to wait for the giveaway, these are linked below. I have 2 different versions of the same content. But anyhow, okay, so let me come check the comments. Yay, novel planner. I love it. Okay, oh my gosh, yes. Planner, I barely know her. Giveaway would be fun. Yes, please. Yes, yes. Okay, I love it. Signed up for the newsletter, but didn't get the template. Okay, so Chris, I don't know when you signed up, but this is perfect timing. Let me go back to the top. And this whole Butterbook doc right here that we're looking at is not something that goes out right when you sign up. It's something that I specifically send out intentionally. So I've been sending it out on Thursdays because I've been doing a newsletter every Thursday. So if you signed up after last Thursday, that's why you haven't gotten it yet. But you can, stay signed up and you will get it. I will send it out one more time. And then maybe we'll talk at the end or in the next live stream about if I should make it public at some point. I don't know. I was going to just make it my newsletter only, but now I'm like, well, this is really fun. Like if you look at the side here at the top, look really close at that top, right? We have 41 pages. So yes. Okay, awesome. A newsletter or what do you call it? A giveaway would be good. Already have the novel planner. Sweet. So in case you don't know, this is set aside for typically, I would say like one novel-ish. Like it's got enough that you could do 2 novels, but it's like 2 months worth for plotting and drafting. So then if you are like, oh, I really like it and I want to write another novel, then you could get a second planner, if that makes any sense. So you could still like basically if you wanted to still enter to win, I would still love to give you another one for your future novels if you want to. Okay, so awesome. Everybody's excited for a giveaway. I need the structure of a planner. I love that. Okay, leave it as newsletter only. You guys are kind of jumping towards the Butter book document. So we'll chat more about that at the end, but I just know that I'll get like daily emails of how can I get access? So I have to figure something out, but we'll talk more about that later. So coming back to our goals today, I thought it'd be really fun to give you a tour in case I don't make it live, then you can at least see what we have. So if you read this top line right here, it just says basically look for the 3 dotted lines on the left when you get access right here. Click on that and you get a table of contents. This is true for all Google Docs. So if you make yourself, if you use the headers that they have, it will create a table of contents for you naturally. I'm just giving you some fun Google Doc tips in case you're like setting up your own outlines for NaNoWriMo, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then basically I just set up a bunch of different headers. So welcome to the Butterbook doc. We have our project description. In case you don't know, I linked all the resources I've talked about right here in case you're ever like, where did I find that? Including the novel planner notebooks I just talked about. Here's number 1. Let's see if it'll pop up. Come on. I don't want to go to the website right now. But anyway, there's 2. I think this first one is the light cover. And then I think this one is the dark cover. I will double check that after the live stream. Then we have our calendar. So we are right here on the 21st today in the blue, plotting this. And we have 1 more left. And then maybe some live streams in November for NaNoWriMo if you guys want. We have our large list of tropes. So this is not tropes for the books. This is just tropes we brainstormed that you can use for your story. If you're like, oh, I need some ideas. Oh, a prophecy, rags to riches, and a reluctant hero. Like you could just go in here and there's so many because we've kind of put our minds together on that. Then we have our story Bible, big picture decisions. This one, I tried to keep this box small, but let me just zoom out a little bit. There we go. So you can kind of see the whole box. Big picture decisions. We're doing a standalone novel, but potential for other characters to get their own books. And it could be a series, but it'd be like a series of standalones. It's not the same world as the Stolen Kingdom. Genres young adult, fantasy with fae, romantic, but not spicy. ACOTAR is our comp, but we're going to say no spice ACOTAR. It's a human in a world with fae, which in the Save the Cat Writes a Novel books, if you've read these, you'll know that that fits into this story genre called Dude with a Problem, meaning basically, if you haven't read it, an ordinary person in an extraordinary world, trying to see if they have what it takes. And I don't think I shared this before, but I was laying awake because I have trouble falling asleep every night. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think Hunger Games was a dude with a problem. I think Harry Potter was dude with a problem. Twilight, and the new one that I just read, which, why am I blanking? Fourth Wing. I'm using it as my computer stand right here, so I can't pull it out. They all are like an ordinary person in theory. Sometimes they turn out not to be so ordinary, right? But it starts out thinking they're ordinary and they're put into an extraordinary world. And they're all this story genre. So that got me really excited that ours is that as well. So anyway, let me come back to the comments before I keep going because I wanted to answer this one in particular. I think I will do NaNoWriMo, but I will be a bit of a rebel because I wish I could like hold up the book for you guys. I'm working on The Secret Curse right now, which comes out in January 2024. And it's the 3rd book in my series. I have to get it done. It's on a deadline and it's going well. But like if I was to fully stop working on that in November and work on the Butter book, I'd probably be in trouble. So I have to prioritize that book, but then I want to like make the Butter book kind of my reward and work on it throughout November, but I will be loose. I won't be as strict as I have been in the past where I have to write 50K. It'll be like, let's see what we can get done. And I might write what's called a 0 draft. Have you guys heard of 0 drafts where Sometimes it's like an even more fleshed out outline where you just kind of brain dump, you skip where you need to, you jump ahead, you jump back. It's just like you do whatever you got to do and you treat it almost more like an outline. And some of it might be like really nice writing, but some of it might not be really nice writing. And you're like, okay with that. So I might do like a 0 draft for fun. I'm so glad you got them. Yay. And yeah, Jessica's Writing Mastery Academy is awesome. I actually have a course with them, in case you didn't know, for self-publishing. So we'll enter as another planner would be great. Yay. Awesome. And yeah. Oh, this makes me so excited to show you. Somebody asked me, how did I do these right here? So since we're literally on it, let me make it a little bigger so you can see. These are super easy to make, and I'm just gonna give you guys a fun, in case you want your own outlining to look a little pretty, you insert a table. So it's literally, you can make it however many columns you want. Let's say we just want like this many. And then all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom and click Table Properties. This is a very fast tutorial, and then I will get back to it, I swear. And what you can basically do is under color, you get rid of the border right here. So it looks like there's no table, but it's still there. And then you can just pick a color for the inside. And whoops, I meant to do the whole thing. Hold on. Let's pick blue. There you go. And then it looks like you have these really fun, boxes that you can make bigger like this, and you can brainstorm. So you could be like chapter 1, chapter 2. Now this is very unreadable, so I should probably do like this color. And there you go. It's that easy to set up like a pretty doc. And I'm going to credit Abby Emmons with this. I learned this from her. And so that's how I set up these little docs. And I just basically, this is a table. I just dragged it so that the one, it's mostly on the side here. And I don't even know if I need the one, but I wanted to like count how many characters we had. So, oops, I'm giving away some things from our survey. So let's jump to world and let me close that. The story takes place in the human and fae world. This is what we brainstormed so far. Last time we decided it will be in the winter. And last time we also decided that there will be a veil between the worlds that only opens 4 times a year. So we picked solstice and equinox, which I really like. And so I was brainstorming last night as I was putting this doc together, making sure I had it all prepped for you guys. And I realized if it's winter, then, and the veil is lowered currently, then we know exactly what time it is. It's winter solstice is when the story is taking place. So I feel like I'm missing comments. There's so many of you here. Thank you so much for hanging out. This is a good question. So if you haven't read Save the Cat, there's 10 story genres. They're not fantasy and sci-fi and horror. They're like Monster in the House, Fool Triumphant. What's another example? Genie in a Bottle, or there's the superhero one, or the Why Done It. So like, for example, again, Dude with a Problem can fit in any of the typical genres. It could be fantasy, horror, whatever. Hunger Games is fantasy. But actually all the examples I gave you are fantasy. But anyhow, the point is, it's not like your typical genre. It's more a story. I don't know if there's a better word for it. I think that's why she used genre, because it's like, it's not exactly a genre, but yeah, I explained that really bad. I would recommend reading Save the Cat to understand that. You are the one who came up with the acronym BBBD. I like that. I literally put it at the top because it made me laugh. And nice to meet you, Rachel, officially. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way down just in case, because I'm missing so much. But she has amazing aesthetics. I agree. And so I have to shout her out for this table here and like how I set that up. And really, this is just one table that I turned into color. So, okay, let me keep going. Yeah, archetype. That's a really good word for it. It's not like your typical genre. It's like an archetype. So yeah, it's a writer's genre. That's another good way to put it. I like that. And sometimes it just helps us to think outside the box and be like, oh, well, what does a dude with a problem need? They need to be like thrust into an impossible situation where it seems like they're not like an extraordinary world, where it seems like they don't fit. So that's like an example of that. Okay, so I'm going to finish my tour of the Butter Doc, and then I'm going to share the story with you guys. So I'm going to scroll really fast. If you have access, you can read through this. I'm just going to scroll. These are all fun things that we have decided during our live streams. I'm too excited. Then we actually did pick some tropes here. How do I bump that up? There we go. So these are the specific tropes we decided on. And I thought that would be fun to go through really quick for these, because we have enemies to lovers. We've got a guy that's going to be the enemy. We want there to be slow burn romance. Our main character, Mara, is going to pretend to be somebody else, right, when she goes into this fairy world. Force proximity, I don't know yet, so we're going to leave that one unchecked. Found family, we have some ideas, and we're going to brainstorm that today to bring in more characters, but we don't have it fully figured out yet. I have a big idea for that, though. Touch her and die, not yet. Strong sibling relationships, I'm thinking her sisters and her will be close, and we kind of talked about that. We know that Mara is an Enneagram 8, so that's covered. The secret cinnamon roll, I think, is we were going to refer to our love interest guy, Riven. Sarcasm as a defense mechanism, we assigned to one of the characters, and then Phoebe from Friends was our inspo for this. Does not care what anybody thinks, just does things differently, and we assigned that to one of the characters as well. Listens to no one except him. I don't know if that's going to fit. Loves to fight, hates to be vulnerable. It could be our main character. I don't know if that's going to fit. Protective love interest. I really hope so. I think we've kind of brainstormed that a little bit. So some of these, that way I can kind of be like, okay, what do we have that we want to make sure, we get this in the story before we finish brainstorming. We also hope to include an unexpected plot twist at the end, which we have figured out, and we'll talk more about that. Forbidden love, maybe. Saves her from Mr. Wrong, maybe. Royalty, maybe. We're not sure yet. One of you guys had a really good idea for that. Fake dating, I have no idea how to fit that into fantasy, but I would love to include it if it was possible. Grumpy Sunshine, maybe. The Grumpy would probably be our main character, so then Sunshine could be the love interest. And then secretly living in someone else's house. I think we actually have this as we brainstorm the fairy trees. I will share more about how I think we kind of fell into this one, and I'm super excited. So anyway, coming back to the side here. Whoops, hold on. I do this every live stream. It's just swiping too hard with my fingers there. On the side, we have our foundational story beats. This is what we went through in our very first live stream. So we only made it through the first two, and we didn't get any further. Then we began in live stream number 2 going through this. So this is the very messy version of our outlining. I'm not going to go through all of it, but we are here today, and the bad guys close in, and I'll come back to that. And then once everything is done and beautiful, I bring it to our final Butterbook outline here, which is what we will read in a second after I come back to comments. And I try to make it a little prettier, a little more readable, and get rid of the stuff that we changed our mind on. Last but not least, we also did have a brainstorming section, and I added images because I have, in case you want this for your story, I wanted to share this. The Enneagram Core Wound Sheet. This is a way that you can really get to know your characters and find out what maybe makes them tick. So our character is Enneagram 8. I have to be strong and in control to be loved is like an example. And if you go on Pinterest, that's where I got this. There's a bunch more. Here's another example. What is this one? This one is more like the truth that they need to hear. And there's multiple truths, by the way. This doesn't have to be the only one. You can go on Pinterest. I really recommend it. And so, like, for example, our Enneagram 8, your vulnerability doesn't make you weak. And I think that really fits Mara as the character we've found here as well. And yeah, theme is like a life lesson. Yeah, the point you want to make. So exactly, the Enneagrams really play into that as well. And let me just check here because now I'm curious what this says. Question up for debate. Recently been seeing a lot of people refer to tropes as themes. Oh, so you were answering this. I see. Wrong in thinking themes and tropes are different. Like one bed is a trope, not a theme. Exactly. If you have read, I don't have it in a physical copy, but one of our links that I put up at the top was the Butterbook, as I call it. Right, where did I put the links? Right here, Seven Figure Fiction, this book. I really recommend this because it talks about the difference between themes and tropes, and they are different. And what she's talking about is like, and not exactly themes, she calls it universal fantasy. So like the rich guy falls in love with you and treats you amazing. And like, that's like a universal fantasy for pretty much every romance reader. Versus a trope might be the one bed. It's like a little more specific. Okay, I could just get tangented so easy. Don't you just love how I get off topic? But coming back to our goals, we did a quick tour, and you'll get to see more of the Butterbook document. But again, if you want access, this Thursday, I'm sending out a newsletter and it will have access. Next, let's go ahead and read through our completed outline so far, and then we'll go and do this week's poll. And I don't think I had it set up, but where did I save the link to that? Right here. Okay, so I have the poll ready to go. let's go ahead and read through. Oh, and I have the log line. I moved it to the bottom there so that we can come back to it at the end of our brainstorming in live stream number 5. Okay. So we were going through the images. I think we were good. Oh, I have some fun ones to show you. I will get there. Let's read through. Are you guys ready? Comment and let me know if you're cool with me just like whipping through this because I know it's a lot, but I'm really excited about how much we have so far in this story. It's really fun. And I'll try to read fast. And just keep in mind, this is not a perfect writing by any means. It's still like outline writing, but I tried to make it a little more interesting. And I'll let you guys keep chatting in the comments too if you want to talk about Save the Cat or the Universal Fantasy book. Absolutely feel free. They're both amazing. See, I'm getting distracted and I love this. I agree. Love conquers all would be like a theme and like a truth that you need to learn. Maybe that helps you understand themes. Is like it's the truth that the character needs to learn. Anyway, okay. Butterbook outline, starting with the opening image and / the hook. And I've highlighted orange story beats that are from Save the Cat. Blue is from Abby Emmons, her outlining playlist, which again is linked in this Butterbook, the BBBD, as we call it, at the top in the resources section. Okay, here we go. Mara is in her home with her merchant father and 2 sisters, and we see them fighting in a funny way, because we're setting the tone, about her father being interested in the neighbor lady, who potentially, if it's funny to add this, is also in the room. She meaning Mara, I should probably clarify that. Mara, is convinced that letting someone new into their lives is a mistake because they will only let them down. And this beat, you can see it's not big, it's not long because it's just an opening image. It's just one visual. Our theme stated, which Abby Emmons calls the character's misbelief, and that personally, like literally is what we were just talking about. It helps me to see it as their misbelief, and it also helps me to flip it as a truth. So the truth that Mara basically needs to learn by the end of the story, which her father will say early on, like Save the Cat tells you to have somebody else state the theme to your character early on in the story, but in a way that they're not going to listen. So the father says to Mara, and I have 3 options here. So one of these, being vulnerable isn't a weakness, it's a strength. Or the only reason I'm strong, maybe like okay after the mother leaving, is because I'm willing to be vulnerable. Or he might say, holding people at arm's length will only hurt you. You're not meant to live life alone. All of these are very powerful for an Enneagram 8 to hear. And so Mara's flaw, her misbelief in the lie that she believes, is that letting people in will only end up hurting her. Oops, did I scroll too far? No. Hurt again. Will only end up in hurt. I'm just going to put hurting her because that's a little clearer. Always editing. All right, so setup. This is a very big beat. You're going to see as we scroll through. Actually, no, there's not that much there. It should be bigger. This one will have to be expanded on. And if you are somebody who doesn't like to plot a super amount, then this is fine. And you could totally write based on this. But if you are somebody who likes to have a little bit more before you start writing, you could expand on this by like starting to put in details. So after Mara is fighting with her father and possibly her sisters so that we can see them on the page, she storms off into the town/village on an errand heading for her favorite bookshop where her crush works. Maybe while they're talking or while she's waiting for him, she witnesses a Fae deal taking place. This is going to show how the Fae are taking advantage of humans. When she's talking to the human, we see that they are unaware, but she can somehow see. And that's like a foreshadowing of something. And then this is basically showing how the world needs to change because the Fae are taking advantage of humans. It also shows how Mara needs to change and let people in. And so I put this note in here just last night where I said maybe she tries to hide from all her problems, stay separate from everybody, could have this show up in her keeping secrets from her father, sisters, crush, maybe even people on the street, just keeping herself held back. The catalyst/inciting incident. This is where Mara's merchant father has a business venture that failed. That's based on our Beauty and the Beast retelling inspiration. As a result, his deal with the Fae means that he and his daughters are bound to serve the Fae for another to-be-determined amount of years. Maybe the love interest himself, which we can now name Riven because we know his name, maybe Riven came to enforce the deal himself. I'm going to add that in here. Mara, is not at the house. Let me fix this. When her family is taken because she's in town talking to her crush, as we talked about, and running an errand. So One of the things we were talking about last time is there's a bit of a plot hole. How does she find out her family was taken by the Fae? Maybe it's the neighbor lady who tells Mara that her family was taken. Maybe she even says why Mara's left out, or maybe this is, I kind of think maybe this isn't necessary. And then Mara feels responsible for them, like this was her fault somehow that they were taken. And again, there's stuff that still needs to be brainstormed here, in my opinion. This is pretty loose, but for me, I might even just start writing it and just see what comes up as I go sometimes. So we do have some questions here that have not yet been answered, which I put down in our brainstorming section for potentially a survey that we can kind of talk about. But let's keep going. The debate, build up / facing the consequences. Mara's debate is, number one, if she's going to go save her family or not. And number two, if she's going to ask for help or if she's going to try to save them on her own. So, because she's avoiding being vulnerable with anybody, she's going to pretend to be someone else, lie to the face she meets, and get to. Oh, sorry, I skipped this. As an Enneagram 8, she determines to save them on her own. And then this part was like how she's going to do that. She's going to pretend to be somebody else. She's not going to let her guard down with anyone. I thought it would be funny if we're keeping in with that funny tone to have the neighbor lady like try to help, maybe even get started packing, but Mara just like dips out. She's like, no, I'm not working with you. And then the question here that we forgot to answer early on in our brainstorming was, does our character hesitate? And if so, do we see it on the page somehow? So last night I wrote this in, I think this was last night. Maybe she hesitates because, when you find out the Fae are real, that's like a little scary. And so maybe we can bring the vulnerability out somehow with this. So this is something I'm going to leave myself a comment right here. Brainstorm later today, ? Or add to survey so that I don't forget to make sure that we cover that somehow. Break into 2 / act 2 / the first plot point. We brainstormed that Mara enters the Fae world through a veil, which only opens 4 times a year on the solstice and equinox. So spring and fall equinox, summer and winter solstice, right? And I put this note here. I kind of already hinted at this, but if it's the dead of winter, which is what we had voted on, then it has to be winter solstice. So enters the world through the veil on winter solstice. And I just put this note here that we should brainstorm if the Fae celebrate winter solstice as well. I'm going to put survey ? I think it would help if they do because of our midpoint ball, but I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But let me know if you think that'd be fun for the Fae to basically celebrate this holiday also, if it's just like a changing of the seasons thing. So this is the biggest beat so far. We immediately see how different the Fae world is compared to the human world. The Fae slip into one of the larger fairy trees, similar to redwoods with unique markings, fairy rings, other markers we don't know. Mara follows them through, only to find some sort of hobbit-style underground network of homes, all connected by tunnels with like fairy lights and maybe underground creatures and flora and fauna. And just, I was putting in all kinds of stuff, which I'll show you the Pinterest board in a second, where I got some of these ideas. And this is based on the survey result. So I am kind of revealing something. Sorry, I didn't think to do the survey first. But this is just a bunch of ideas. This is how I brainstorm, by just putting in as much as I can think of. And so we can brainstorm like the actual visuals later. The veil itself might also have a unique quality. I was saying maybe the moment she passes through it, she can suddenly see the Fae in their true forms without their glamour, because we did say that there needed to be a specific veil that's lifting, right? So I was like, what is it exactly? Is it a veil that lifts where they suddenly see the trees, the fairy trees weren't visible, and then suddenly they're looming in the distance? Like, we definitely need to brainstorm this. So I'm going to put survey as well for that. And maybe we can brainstorm like 2 or 3 options and then vote in the survey. It'll be fun. So let's keep going though. I won't let myself get distracted just yet because we're not quite done. Mara's main goal at this point is to find her family and save them from the Fae at all costs. To do so, her goals become learning more about the Fae to figure out where they put her family, learning about the Fae court as well, and how to like navigate the underground tunnels, like maybe how to avoid getting caught by Fae. Like some of them might be out to get her. Maybe how to speak with those that she does encounter and what to share with them. And to keep things private would be a big goal as well. So I should probably put in there not how to speak with them, but how to hide who she is around the fae she encounters would be more accurate. And number 3, not letting anybody know she's a human who snuck into the fairy court, if at all possible, not trusting anybody. Our B story character, Riven, is the love interest in this case. They don't have to be. In case you haven't read Save the Cat, it talks about a B story helping them learn their theme, this specific B story character, I should say. And it's often a love interest, but it does not have to be by any means. And there can be more than one. So we do have a note here that there might be more than one. But Riven is our Fae debt collector in the fairy court. He enforces the Fae deals. He might have been important at one point, like maybe he was a son of a lord or 12th son of a prince or something like that. If we wanted to bring on our royalty trope that we had talked about, remember earlier when we talked about tropes, then he could potentially be that. But now he's a no one. Like slash somebody that everyone makes fun of. And as an Enneagram 3, which we brainstormed for him, that would be his shard of glass because Enneagram 3s do not want to be that at all. And we actually in the survey brainstormed his Enneagram 3 wants, needs, and misbelief even more. So we'll get to that in a second. And I should probably add that in here. I'll try to come back and add in his wants, needs, misbeliefs comment. Okay. Let's see. So Riven will help Mara learn that it's okay to be vulnerable and trust someone else. First, by being trustworthy and proving himself to her over and over throughout the story, even if it's not in his best interest. So we brainstormed that he could be like her mirror version, where he is trusting and being vulnerable no matter what, kind of contrasting her, but maybe having his own issues as well. And then maybe he passes off her family once. I added this last night. Let me say that before I get into it. Last night I was like, well, how did she first run into him? Right. So I was like, well, what if, and I want to run this by you guys, what if he passed her family off because he was the one who picked them up and they like enter into the Fae side of the veil only to like, as he gives them off to wherever they're supposed to go, he turns around and like runs right into Mara and that's how they meet. So that was one idea. And so the cool thing about that would be like, he could realize right away she doesn't belong there, but he could help her somehow, even if she does not yet realize it. So this plays into our, where did I save it? Right here, our enemies to lovers trope, where she's the only one who thinks they're enemies. He's been head over heels since he met her. So basically, he's out to help her, even though she thinks he's out to get her. So coming back to our B story, fun and games. Don't worry, we're almost to the midpoint here. If you are just tuning in now, I see you catching up. I'm so sorry if you missed stuff, but you can always go back and watch. We're going to finish up fun and games and midpoint, and then we're going to start brainstorming. Mara's on an upward path. So Save the Cat is so nice because it helps you know like how to figure out if it's an upward path or a downward path and how to pick. And then you know what the midpoint will be as well, because it will either be a false victory or a false defeat, which I just love this. So what this means for Mara, we picked upward path. We voted, I think, last time. It means everything seems to be going well for the most part. There's still a little bit of ups and downs. It shouldn't be like a perfect, everything's amazing. But here's some of the things that we brainstormed might be going well. She finds the fairy court. She's able to sneak in. She's able to find a place to stay where it's warm because it's winter outside. And then she meets that love interest. Even if she does hate him for a while, that's technically a good thing. It might seem like a bad thing. She can find genuine friends in this fairy court, where we're going to bring in our friends' characters in that inspo in this beat. And then hopefully she finds her family or finds clues. I think we decided it was clues. Her family's, I'm just going to put her family's trail. Then she hides away in the castle and becomes a servant, bringing this in from live stream number 1. All the way back when I was going back through live stream number 1 notes, I was like, oh my gosh, we already figured this out. She hides away in the castle, becomes a servant somehow. And this is the living in someone else's home beat right there. And maybe this is where she meets fellow workers, potentially the Fae, the friends that we were talking about, who become her friends. But she'll lie to them about who she is, what she cares about, why she's there. She's not revealing that she's there for her family yet. The bouncing ball moments. I can't remember if the original Save the Cat talks about this, but I do love that it was brought up in this book. It was expanded on a lot more. It was very helpful for me to read that. So in this case, they're just kind of like a little bit of a downbeat where it seems like, oh no, oh, it's okay. Kind of that vibe. She almost gets caught. maybe that's Ryven actually, and the first time. That could be him. And then we're going to see that Ryven cares, but because he seems like the enemy, she's not believing it yet. Maybe she gets locked outside of the fairy court for a little bit. It's cold outside. Maybe getting caught by a fae who hates humans, or like chased by one, or just encountering a different type of fae, since we did brainstorm early on that we wanted multiple types of fae in this world. So maybe one that's a little more deadly. This section in the fun and games has to have like a goal and a plan for the character to follow. I think Abby Emmons talks about that especially. So for Mara, it's based on her wants that we brainstormed, which makes it easy. Her want and her goal is to save her family, and her want is to do it without having anybody help her and without like trusting anybody. And then Abby Emmons also talked about the opposition and antagonist looming in the distance. So this chunk right here that I just highlighted was not, I don't think we brainstormed it, but it was pretty easy for me to put in. I think I just put this in last night as well. Let's see. The fear that she might never find her family and might lose them forever. To make these stakes feel realistic, the fairy world could be extremely confusing, easy to get lost, full of creatures that aren't nice, and maybe she loses her family's trail multiple times. And then Abby Emmons talks about making it relevant to their fears. So Mara's fear is being vulnerable and trusting anybody. So we could make it clear she does not trust anybody, but if she doesn't at some point, like embrace this, that she has to trust somebody, she could lose her family forever. Okay. Thank you for being so patient with me. We are almost there. The game-changing midpoint / plot twist. Mara sneaks into a fairy ball, as we talked about it. I think it would be fun to give it a more fairy-sounding name, but essentially it'd be a ball. It'll have the whole fairy food, drink, dance going on. Maybe I put they could be celebrating the tail end of the winter solstice, since that's what it happens to be. It made perfect sense to me. So let me know if you guys, this would be our first thing that you can vote on. Do you want the fairies to also celebrate winter solstice? Or do you want it to be just humans? Or on the flip side, just the fae celebrate it and the humans don't really know about it, and it's like just a day? Maybe the humans just have like regular Christmas or something. But at this point, the midpoint plot twist, she discovers her family is there. She finally has a chance to save them. That's the false victory that we talked about. Very shortly after she tries to rescue them, we find out she can't. Plot twist, because they are unwilling to be saved or they're brainwashed somehow. We haven't exactly figured out how, so I should probably make this a survey question. We're going to have a lot of survey questions unless we brainstorm them during this, of course, which I hope we will be able to come back because we only have 3 story beats to get through. Ooh, a masquerade ball. That would be so fun. I love that. Okay, so she may not even know why they're refusing to come with her, but the father is going to say, stop trying to help us. Just go home. So this will massively change everything for Mara, because when her family, like both her father and sisters, refuse to leave, she's going to suddenly realize that there's no going back. If they stay here with the Fae, her life as she knew it is truly over, which is really, really like world ending, game changing midpoint, right? To fit the title up here, game changing. That changes everything. If they're not coming back, if she literally cannot save them, then what happens? That's a huge moment. While she wanted, she will be truly alone, was where we ended. While she wanted to do everything on her own before this point, and she really always had her family to count on, now she will be truly on her own unless she can find a way to change their minds, making her realize that being on her own without anybody else, what she thought she wanted, is actually the last thing she wants, even if she's not admitting it to herself yet. Last but not least, I think I put these in our questions to brainstorm already, potentially for the bad guys beat, is why can't she rescue them? Do we even know? I think last time we had talked about, some of you were like, well, only a fae can let them out of the deal. And then one of you was like, well, what if only the fae who put them in the deal can let them out? That's another option. And then who exactly would give her this information on how to save them, right? Because her family's not telling her. She doesn't know. So I thought maybe Ryven knows. Maybe he is trying to help her at this point still. So yeah. Okay, let me jump in here. Just the Fae celebrate the solstice is your vote. I should get my paper. Hold on. Oh, I dropped it on the floor. Okay, so how should I title this first vote? Solstice celebrate. I can spell. Let's see. Humans will be H, F will be for Fae, and then B will be for both. So you're voting just the Fae. One vote for that. Another vote for just the Fae. And the humans, that way the humans don't know the significance. That's a very good point. Fae winter solstice fall sounds good. Love that. Maybe just the Fae celebrate. We got 3 votes for just the Fae, and the humans celebrate Christmas. Would be easier for her to sneak in if it was during the solstice. I agree, 100%. I think we should for sure do that. And yay, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. You can always go back and watch later. I just did a recap, a very long recap at this point. We have a lot of story. She can save them, but she has to stay in the Fae world in exchange. Ooh, very fun. I like that. Oh, yeah. So this could be a really interesting twist on the story. First time watcher here, just fixed your plot using this book. Yay. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay. Another vote for just the Fae. 4. 5 votes for just the Fae. They both could celebrate it, but the Fae call it something else. I like that. So 1 vote for both. Yeah. Like maybe it's just like the humans' Christmas or something. I don't know. Let's see. Just the Fae celebrating because it's usually right before Christmas. That's very true. All right. So I don't know if you can see this. Let me make this bigger. This is our vote so far. I think it's pretty clear. What do you guys think? I think that one can be decided. Just Fae celebrate. And I will make sure to add these votes into the doc after this. Oh, another vote for just the Fae. Perfect. 7. Okay. So that answers that. And then or we're going to come back to these, but let's go ahead and review let me actually go here. Hold on. Where did I save it? Because I reorganized the whole Butterbook doc and now I can't remember where I put it. I think it was right here. Yes. All right. Here's some of the questions I do want to brainstorm if we have time, but if not, that's okay because we're doing these fun surveys. So let me go ahead and remove and then present and do the survey. Okay, you guys excited? Ready to see the decisions? I think I have to go into the editing side. There were 115 votes. This was so much fun. Let me know if you like the surveys or if they're kind of weird too. That's okay too, but these have become my favorite part. All right, number 1. In our last poll, we voted that there will be a fairy court, and in live stream 3, we voted for it to officially involve fairy trees somehow. So we had multiple options to choose from. You guys picked, oh, there we go. Mixing all the above ideas together, where basically they're massive trees, but there's multiple. They're sprinkled throughout like a regular forest, and they look different in some way, shape, or form, but they are all different entrances to the underground fairy court. So remind me, do not let me forget to show you some of the Pinterest images that I saved in our Butterbook doc because this was really, really fun. Yay, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, love it. Okay, so I'm so glad you like the surveys. These are my favorite thing, and I can't believe how many responses there are. And yeah, it's really fun to just like see what the top pick is, even if like obviously even if not everybody picks it, it's still really cool. And I hope you guys still feel like you're getting to have a say in this. It's so fun. Number 2, are the Fae worried about the humans crossing over into their world? And what is the result? Oh my gosh, this was actually pretty even. Oh, come on, why is it glitched like that? 34% said no, they bring the humans over on purpose, using them to serve the Fae somehow, like Mara's family. So that makes total sense that you guys picked that. I don't know why I didn't. That seems obvious now that I look back at it because Mara's family. So I love that. All right. Now, before I get into this next one, I put this at the top of all of them that this is just a placeholder name. Yes, sometimes I get attached, but sometimes I don't. And we might want to have them have more like fairy sounding names. But for right now, we named everybody. We put 4 friends together. So friend number 1 is an Enneagram 3, free spirit, doesn't care what people think, musician or bard of some sort, possibly an orphan, peacemaker. And it looks like the name is Fawn. So we have a fawn. I love that. It sounds so fairy-like. Number 4. What should we name friend number 2? Enneagram 6 uses sarcasm as a crutch. It looks like 38% Byron. I had a CPA named Byron once, which is really funny because I just picture my tax guy. But anyway, it cracks me up. Friend number 3 is an Enneagram 1, type A personality, a little stressed, needs to do things the right way. And it looks like, oh my gosh, I thought it changed overnight. I was like, oh my gosh, this one now? But no, it's it's for sure Gwen, which I love. I love that one. Okay. I like them all for the most part. Some of them I picked some weird ones just to see if you guys would pick it. But I love these names. And I did pick them really fast too. So I hope that's okay if there's some weird ones in there. Friend number 4, an Enneagram 7. So this is like the fun life of the party, flirty, cute guy. Maybe he's funny by accident. Focus on having fun. Oh my gosh, this one's really split. Oh my gosh. It used to be for sure Jovi, but now it's actually even. Oh my gosh. What do we do? I put in the doc Jovi, but let me know if you guys want to change it. Let me know if you want to vote in the comments right now. Feel free if you're like, no, I want it to be Julian. But otherwise, I think I will leave it as Jovi because that's what we had done. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. I've never had an exact tie like that before. And then last but not least, this is the last question. Ryvan, our love interest. He's going to be very important to the story. We know a little bit about him. He's an Enneagram 3, hardworking, afraid to fail, hates being disliked. A lot of you wanted him to be like a debt collector who like collects the Fae deals, essentially. So if he is, this like arrogant guy, he's the enemy, but he has these secret insecurities, what should his wants, needs, and misbeliefs be? And remember, wants and needs are from Save the Cat, and then the misbelief is pulled a little bit more from Abby Emmons. A little bit. It's still a little bit in Save the Cat too. And I'll come back. I see some votes coming in. I love it. So, oh my gosh, we could call him Jovian. I don't think anybody said that. I just read it by accident. Anyway, let me finish out the survey and then I'll come back to the comments. So this one was a really close tie, and they're actually very similar wants, needs, and misbeliefs, but they are different. So the first option was to, and I actually started with misbeliefs, FYI, in case you're brainstorming your own characters, it helps me to start with the misbelief right here, that he's not valued. So if he's not valued, his want would be to prove himself, but his need would be to learn he has value simply for who he is, right? And sorry that this isn't bigger. I wonder if I can make this a little bigger. There we go. Does that feel better? And then that was really close, but it looks like you guys picked number 2, which the misbelief is I have to be the best to be loved. And so, of course, then they want to be the absolute best at everything, but their need is to be accepted for exactly who they are, or maybe in this case, to accept themselves. So just FYI, because this document, I'm just going to close it out and bring the butter book back. But just FYI, I put all of that into the document already because it was, except for that last one, the Jovi versus Julian, it was all very, very obvious decisions by last night when I was checking. Okay, so bringing the butter book back, we can get rid of this. That's our survey. Okay, let's go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. How's that feel? Is it getting smaller for you or just for me? Oh, well. Okay. Where are we here? We just read through this week's poll. So now before we do the rest, let's come back to your thoughts here. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay. I'm going to have to write this down because I can see a lot of votes. Julian / Jovi / what was the thing I said? Jovian? Okay. Ready? Let's start at the top. Let me find the very top. Okay, one for Julian. Julian, and then I see Jovi. Got it. Julian, got it. Jovi, right there. Jovi, Jovi, Julian, JJ for short. I'll put that one in the Jovian comment / JJ. Sorry, I didn't highlight that one. Julian, make sure I write it on the correct side. Julian, Jovi. Julian, and I'm going to write the next one down, Julian. Another one, Julian. I promise I'm counting these even if I go through a couple at once. Jovi because he's jovial, even though I voted for Gio. I love it. I like JJ too. I'll put that in the third column. Kind of like JJ. Third column, team, Jovian. Jovian for the win. 5, team Jovian. Technically, this column is Jovian / JJ, which don't go together. Shoot. There's another one for Jovian and another one for Jovian and another one for Jovian. Jovi is a little close to Joey. I agree. So I was like, ooh, this is a little close. But what about Jovian? Does that feel too close? I love it. I'm so happy. That's 5. This is so funny. So I wasn't losing my mind. It does say 3 options. what were we talking about there? I don't remember. Jovian. Okay. Jovian sounds pretty cool. Actually, I'm starting to like it too. Agreed. But that is not a vote for it. Makes me think of Bon Jovi. Oh, I don't think that's actually a vote for it, so I won't do a check mark. Julian better. Okay. Could he use one name for friends and one like as his proper name? Oh, I like that. So it's Jovian, but some people call him JJ. We could see if we could work that in there. Jovian sounds more original. I'll put a vote for that. Maybe he panics and says his name wrong, and then she calls him JJ. Okay, this is so fun. I really like this. Okay, let me bring it bigger so you can see me again. Here is our vote. Hold on, how can I do this? So it looks like we have a clear winner for Jovian / JJ, if we can make JJ happen. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so that was an easy decision. Let me go ahead and, if you can see in the butter doc, all the way up on the left side, I'm going to scroll to characters. This is why I love the table of contents, because once you have this many pages, it's just overwhelming. So we've got Fawn, Byron, Gwen, and Jovian, JJ. By the way, just a side note for anybody else who has kids, when you hear JJ, do you think of Cocomelon? Let me know, because that's what I think of. Yay, I love it. I like the name plus the nickname for friends. The last option on the questionnaire. Oh, you know what? No. It wasn't your fault. I think I meant to do 3 and then I ran out of time. And I was like, oh my gosh, the newsletter has to go out right now if we want to get the votes. So I forgot. I didn't do it. Love a good panicked name drop. I love that. Can already tell Jovian's going to steal every scene he's in. Yes. And maybe he's trying to like always prove, oh, this is for Ryben. Maybe he's trying to like prove himself worthy to his father, no matter what he does, never good enough. I love that. And so actually, let's come back to Ryben. Okay. Because I don't remember where I put this. I might just have to tell you. I don't think I have it like written out anywhere. So let me just leave the doc for a minute and leave that to the side. This side. Okay. So you know how we like pull inspiration for our stories from real life and from books we're reading, from TV, just from everything. And so essentially, the more we can pull from, even though we're technically pulling from stuff, it's going to feel more original the bigger of a mashup that the thing is, right? So I was reading this series. This is a bit of a tangent, but I hope you don't mind because you guys are all readers. I'm sure you love talking about books. So I was reading a series that I kept getting advertised on Instagram. Do you guys get Instagram ads for books? Is that a thing for you all now? It's been a thing for me and it keeps getting me because they'll share a part of the story and then I'm like, wait, but what happens? What happens next? I have to know. I can't handle cliffhangers. So this one I had been seeing over and over and over and over. And finally I'm like, I'm just going to read the excerpt and I probably won't like it and it'll be fine because it's not a genre. I don't usually read spicy books. I don't usually read contemporary romance books. This is like I usually read fantasy. So next thing you know, I got the book and I read it and then I read the next 3. And it is, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to tell you my favorite element was the found family vibes because it was an orphan who they were all in like a group home and he wasn't an orphan anymore. They were all grown up, but he had gathered the other kids around him and made his own family. It was amazing. It was so good, you guys. I have never read a book that did found family that well. And so I was like, well, what if Ryben did something like that? What if we pulled a little inspo from that where he could be an orphan, although I do like the idea of his father being involved. So another option is he's not an orphan, but he's a child and there's other children. Like, okay, this is actually Fourth Wing is like this, where they're children of, what do they call it? Rebels, I guess. I don't know the word. I can't remember the word that's used, but essentially they all become a family. They're a found family because their parents were all killed and they were like the bad kids. I don't know. This is a terrible example, but we could create some sort of situation for Ryben where he and the other 4 friends that we've just named all have something in common. So what are their names? Fawn, I'm gonna have to get used to this. Fawn, Byron, Gwen, and Jovian. This kind of sound like they go together, don't they? They all end it with an N. I just noticed that. It's like, we'll pretend that was an intentional world building. Because it sounds like they all belong together. And Ryben, oh my gosh, like all the fairies' names end with an N. But anyhow, let me come back to the point. So you guys like that idea? Yeah, the found family trope. I love it too. Isn't it amazing? And we did have it as one of the things we wanted to include. So if we could give them a very specific reason for becoming a family, that would make me so happy. Yeah, like maybe this, maybe somebody was executed. So whatever it is, can we make it something that all the other characters have in common too? So maybe there was like an uprising. I think we had talked about having a Seelie and Unseelie court. So which one's the dark one? I think it's Unseelie is the dark. Maybe they were part of the Unseelie court, and then they were maybe their parents are still alive, but they were forced to come to the Seelie court. So maybe everything that's happening in the story is on the Seelie court side. What do you think of that idea? Because I forgot that we were going to include that. Oh my gosh, you do too? Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. They're so weird sometimes. I get some weird ones, and I'm like, can you not show me that? It's freaking me out. But like the ones where they're like bad actors telling the story. Do you guys get that? Anyhow. Love found family. Always end up writing it. I agree. Me too. It's my favorite. Okay. I rarely get book ads, sadly. It's because I'm into other stuff. Okay, that makes total sense. You're not missing out that much. Either they're really bad and awkward, or you end up buying the book that you didn't mean to read. And that's what happened to me. Um, so when you're raised by like a distant, neglectful parent, it is, yeah, kind of the same as being an orphan. Dad could be absent. Okay, so you guys, it sounds like you kind of like the absent parent thing. So potentially we could do that Seelie Unseelie court thing. Yeah, kind of like that. I love that. The found family element is just so good. No matter what it is, it's so good. Oh, I'm missing a lot of comments. I apologize. Ryvan could be disowned by his family. That's how yeah, so it could be a bunch of kids that were disowned as well. Like, and by kids, I mean fairy kids, whatever we would call them. Um, Maybe they become family because all their names end with an N. I love it. The friends can convince Mara that Ryvan isn't a bad guy. Yeah, unseelie bad, Seelie good. Okay, that's what I thought. So they could be like Seelie, but they're not truly all bad. They just have some bad tendencies, right? Let's see. Had an idea about Mara's mom. What if she was the leader of the uprising and hid in the human world, and that's how she met Mara's father? Mm. Ooh, interesting. Ooh. If there's an uprising, okay, I'm getting excited. So, say we do keep the Seelie unseelie thing. What if Mara's mother was actually um, unseelie? Right? Is that the one? So she's coming to the Seelie court, but she has something in common with them. But well, we don't know that. I keep forgetting. And if you didn't catch the other live streams, she is going to end up being half Fae. Her mother is Fae, but we haven't figured out all the details of that yet. The other characters could have their own versions of something that happened with their family that they end up forming their own family together. Yeah. So in some way, shape, or form, we can put. Do you guys like that? They're either like orphans or essentially orphans. We don't have to decide today, but do you like that found family element idea? I get the bad acting ones all the time. Yeah, I don't think I've seen those 2, but one of them sounds very similar to what I've seen. Uh, Thinking of using found family, I think it's amazing. If you do, definitely readers are gonna love it. I can almost guarantee. It could be like that song from Frozen with the dwarfs. I like the idea of her mom being unseelie could end up giving Mara mom issues. Okay, so let's say um, unseelie? Question mark. We don't have to decide yet. And actually, I should make that clear that that's Fae. But if they all were, oops, wrong spot, right here. Then, really, the orphan thing needs to be figured out. I can't talk and type at the same time. There we go. So nothing beats found family. Okay, so one way or another, these guys are all drawn together. I think we all agreed on that. I think that was like 100% vote for the first time ever. So let's go to our story beats because in case Zion wakes up early today, I do not want to miss brainstorming these. Before I show you my notes on the side, I'm going to really quick read through our questions. So we have bad guys close in. There's a lot. That's a big beat. All is lost in disaster is a little bit smaller. And then Dark Night of the Soul is really like a single scene beat, I think it's called, right? Okay. Should I read through all of them? Maybe not. Maybe that's a little much. But just know that brainstorming is chaotic and we might jump around, and that's totally okay. And I just realized you can't see it very well. How's that? Okay, so, and yeah, if you are confused, I apologize, but it is very complicated to brainstorm. You're not alone. Do not feel bad, but I hope you enjoy just seeing the chaotic brainstorming we do. And just know that if you get access to the Butterbook, then you can like read on your own time and read the summary on your own time. And okay, really fast vote. Should we just do that next week? Should I say read the summary on your own time? I feel like that's not fair if anybody misses it though. But yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to summarize faster. Okay, the bad guys close in. We are gonna go ahead and just start answering these as fast as possible. We're gonna skim through it and then we can come back and flesh it out. Does that sound okay? Oh, I hope this works. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the outlining here. If they, meaning Mara, right? We're going to change it to our main character. If Mara was on an upward path in the fun and games, which she was, then this needs to be a downward path or vice versa. If your story was the opposite of ours, then you would switch it up. So Mara was on an upward path. Remember, everything was going well. So now Mara is on a downward path because it has to switch over, meaning everything is going wrong. In some way, shape, or form. And I'll just scroll up to show you we actually did brainstorm some possibilities right here. This is showing up really big for me, but it's not for you. How's that? Is that okay? So here's a bunch of stuff we brainstormed that didn't fit in the story last time that we could potentially bring in to the bad guys beat. Like they can only be freed by the Fae, etc. Let's keep going. So next question, make sure to increase the stakes in this beat. I always struggle with this one. I'm going to be real with you. How have things gotten even more intense? So I can scroll back up to our ideas from last time, but before I do that, let me know if you have any fresh ideas or something that came to you today. And let's start with the comments before we get into it. And oh my gosh, I just saw this out of the corner of my eye. Thank you, AV. That means a lot. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you enjoy the summarizing. Okay, that makes me feel better because it feels long, but I'm glad that you appreciate it. Okay, so do you mean Akatar by any chance? Avatar, Reese? Avatar, Reese. Okay, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So to increase the stakes, let me know. Does anything come up that feels like things would be getting worse? If you know how our midpoint ended, which I'm just reminding myself, where was our exact midpoint? Let's scroll back to it. We're right there. She found her family at the ball, tried to save them, but she couldn't. And I think we had said because only a Fae can release them from the spell. But then we were like, well, she actually is Fae, so plot hole, possibly. So we were brainstorming that. I don't think we had quite figured that out. And then we voted that maybe they don't even know that they're in a spell, but either way, she can't save them. Okay. So knowing that, and here's some of the things that could happen. We're going to get rid of this because we did put in a ball. She could find out that her mother is involved somehow. I feel like that could be a little, it could reveal too much before we're ready. If we want the big, massive ending surprise to be, oh my gosh, she's Fae because her mom is Fae, then we probably can't bring in her mother until the end, right? So I'm going to put probably not until the end for that one. Oh my gosh, here's an idea based on this one. I can't remember. Oops, sorry, I'm pointing the wrong way. If the family escaped, obviously they're not escaping of their own free will. So what if she decides to like kidnap them? Would that be funny? So that's a possibility. I'm going to go ahead and start scrolling through the comments and put all the ideas you guys have. So what if she is found? Absolutely, that would make the stakes worse. What if she's found hiding? Worse, what if she's like put into, I don't know, what would a fairy prison be? Like I guess not just found, but what if she's captured and locked up, I guess, jailed somehow? Let's see. Oh my gosh, lots of comments just came in. I have not read this, but I'm very curious about it now. It sounds interesting. Finds a plot that puts her hometown in trouble. What if she finds out her hometown is in trouble? Let's see. Maybe a greater Fae equals more powerful spell. So her half Fae. Oh, okay. So that was coming up to, where was it? That was the midpoint, right? Maybe she can't save them because she's only part Fae. Ooh. Fixes the plot hole. This is the messy side of plotting. I'll come back to the nicer side and fill it in more smoothly there. Yeah, that would totally fix the plot hole. Okay, I like full-blooded. Let me add that to the top. Sorry. If only a full-blooded fae can break the what do we call it? We haven't even figured it out. Spell, deal, contract, thing. That's how I'm gonna type that. If she finds out her family's doing better without her, ooh, the trauma. Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put that in. What if she finds out? I don't know why I put what if. I guess so that we know it's not permanent because I don't want it to feel like we've set anything in stone. What if she finds out her family is doing better without her? Um, Loneliness. Yes, great minds think alike. I love that. Okay, Akhtar. That's what I thought you meant. Maybe only those maybe only those who want to be saved can be saved, question mark. And then raising the stakes. The gateways back to the human world are due to close. Oh yeah, that's right. The time limit. The veil is about to close. Actually, let me pause here before we keep going because I actually had a note, which I forgot. And this is a long one, so bear with me. And let me bring this down so you can see it. I wrote this last night. I was in a panic. I'm like, okay, before we begin brainstorming, you guys, we have like two dark moments, so to speak. That's not like a story term. That's just what I'm calling them. The first one was her family refusing to come home with her, which we put at the midpoint. The second one we had already brainstormed was that the veil wouldn't be open when she tried to return home, and she was going to find out like when it was too late, whatever that might be. So I put right now, number one, her family not being willing to come is the midpoint, which means number two would probably become our all is lost moment, right? That's like the dark night of the soul or all is lost, one of those two. I don't know. But for me, it felt like number one, which is her family refusing to come with her, is almost darker than the veil not being open, but maybe not. I don't know. So I was wondering if we should swap them. Like the midpoint, she finds out the veil's closed, and then at the all is lost, she finally finds her family and they won't come with her. Or I said maybe both. I was like brainstorming by myself and then like 11 o'clock last night. I was like, maybe both of these things happen at the midpoint at the same time. Maybe she finds out like they won't come and the veil's closed. Or another option would be like, let's say, let's keep it the way we have it, right? And not go too crazy. So the midpoint, her family refuses to come, but maybe in this bad guys close in beat, she's stubborn. So she kidnaps them and like forces it. I don't know if that's bad or not. Let me know if that sounds terrible, but like she somehow forces it, makes them come. Maybe she like lies to them, like, you're needed to clean over here. Oh, just kidding. Shove you in a wagon. I don't know. And then somehow she gets them. And then that's when she finds out, oh my gosh, I can't save them even if I wanted to because we're stuck here. So we have options, but I wanted to bring those up. I'm going to go ahead and close this out because now that I've shared it, I think we can brainstorm what you prefer. So this might be a good vote. I just don't know how to phrase it. Oh gosh. Let's see. Let me read some of your comments because you guys got some really good ideas here. Seeing as the beat is called Bad Guys Close In, who's the story's bad guy? Thought it meant either literal or figurative bad guys closing in. Yes, that is a very good point. And I don't remember if that's actually in here. Right, it's kind of in here. Oops, let me bring this up so you can see what I'm highlighting. It's kind of in here in this last question, but you make a good point to focus on that. So let's see here. Okay. I'm trying to figure out if we want to solve this problem about which bad thing happens where, or if we want to just keep going. Because the veil being about to close could just be another bad guy closing in, essentially. It wouldn't be technically closing in, but it would be a figurative one, right? Let's see. This could be like a punishment. It could also be, this is an idea, if they put like a collar around the humans, that could be why they can't leave. Just throwing that out there. That gave me an idea. Bad guys can be your own internal bad guys. Yes, absolutely. I like the idea of her and Rye kidnapping them somehow and they're like fussing and they don't understand. Bad guys can be both. Yes. And then, this is continued from this one. Okay. So they don't understand. They're being kidnapped. It's for their own good. But it's hard on Mara because they're being like mean to her or something like that. I have not heard of this. This is very intriguing. I might have to watch that movie. Her family could be under some sort of spell. That's why they don't want to go back home. Yeah, I like that. The veil feels more external bad guys, like it would make somebody panic rather than making them feel like they lost everything. Okay. Okay. I think I see what you're saying. So, like, why am I doing the pen? This would be more of a typing thing. That would stay under this time limit then. Veil is about to close. So, this one I think we for sure want to do at some point, but it sounds like you guys are saying it would fit really good in the bad guys closing in beat instead of all is lost during the midpoint. Let's see, maybe her family won't come with her because they blame her for their troubles. So it's like an intentional won't come with her. Oh, actually, how could we put this in here, whether it's the for sure reason or not? Oops. I think it'd be funny if there were conversations with her family. Not funny. Funny is the wrong word, but it would fit if where they blame her, I guess, somehow. I don't know exactly how, but it would fit in. Or actually, hold on, let's bring it back to her misbelief, which is that she can't trust anybody. So it could be constantly forced to trust people. That could feel like a bad guy if she's, bringing it back to her internal bad guys of like, I have to trust and I hate it. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Then it's that moment where Joey looks out at the fake rain all by myself. Yeah. Oh, that makes me laugh more than it should. I love that. Love the Friends references. Okay, I think you're right that one is worse than two, because finding out her family won't leave is a choice they make. Finding out the veil is closing is something that happens to them. Okay, so the way you phrase that also kind of confirms that maybe the veil needs to be a bad guy's closing in thing. And then maybe her family not leaving might end up being an all is lost instead of a midpoint. We'll have to see how it folds out. Folds out? Is that a saying? I don't know what's better to have first or if combining them is better. Yeah, see, I don't even know how to vote on that because it's like, maybe we should just keep going. That's usually what I got to do when I'm like at a crossroads, like plow through and something usually falls into place. The spell could mean her family doesn't recognize her at the midpoint. Oh, that's an idea. So coming back to the midpoint, we'll just put that in as another option. Another idea would be if they don't even recognize her, although we'd have a lot of explaining to do because I don't know how they wouldn't. I do like the idea of misleading them to go with her only to find the veil closed. And then they're like, why are you upset? It's great here. I love the way you phrased that. Hold on. That was in the bad guys beat, right? Actually, let me go ahead and start creating more of a description because these are all brainstorming, but let's create more of a, so I don't know if this is going to be a fleshed out description or not. This is going to be really choppy. Don't judge me. Mara somehow kidnaps, forces, how did you put it? Misleads, I like that word, her family to go with her and gets them to leave. But immediately things start going wrong. Downward path. So would the veil be the first thing at some point? I don't know if this would be the first thing. Maybe, what did you guys put here? Maybe they're found. Maybe they run into Faye who like chase them. I don't know, give them a hard time. But eventually she gets them to the veil only to find it closed, capital closed. And oh, I like that. And her family is like, why are you upset? It's great here. That just makes me laugh. Give the options numbers. Okay, that's a good idea. So Erica, let me hold on to this. I don't even remember what option 1 is, or all the options are. It would be option 1, midpoint. Oh gosh, my brain. I'm kind of a visual learner, so I'm like trying to picture what we were talking about. Midpoint, family refuses to leave. And then option 2, midpoint would be veil closed, which as I say it, I almost feel like I can tell it's not right. Option 3 would be both, right? So let me hold on to that and keep reading your comments because I'm realizing how many I'm missing. Oh my gosh. So sorry, I'm falling behind. What if she spends the bad guys closing in, helping them get unbrainwashed? Oh, yes. I love that. let's see here. Let's see, because that would be her goal. And I think there's a goal somewhere in here. Right here, right? Yeah. This question says, after the midpoint, the main character should now have a new goal that shifted slightly or a lot. Or it could be, if your goal, you feel like for your stories, if it's like, oh, their goal kind of needs to be the same, then that would be like a new approach to it. So in this case, her new goal going forward is to, for lack of a better word, unbrainwash her family! Exclamation point. She is trying to convince them to leave with her, and also her original goal to leave is still obviously happening, right? But her new approach to it is basically, how would we say this? Dragging her family along. I don't know. Sorry if you can't read that. Let me scroll it up a little bit. So there, I think we just accidentally but awesomely answered that question. Thank you so much, Joanna. That's brilliant. Let's see, kind of like both, and with the help of her friends, she kidnaps them only to find the veil closed, and then she has to fight with them. Emotional damage. Yes. So fighting with her family once they find out the veil is closed. This is sort of, by the way, this is in the increase the stakes, things getting more intense section. Ooh, it scrolls really fast. It's kind of jerky. Sorry about that. She has to figure out a way to find out how to break the spell, and her love interest helps, but he doesn't know the exact spell to cast. Oh, this is interesting. So another way to raise the stakes is if both Mara and Riven and her family all have no idea why they won't leave. So the reader won't know either then, right? So versus our original, what was our original thought? Was that Riven would tell her how to help them. So this would definitely make things harder if they literally don't have any idea how to fix it. I know, I'm sorry. I love movies, so I'll have to check it out. Thank you for hanging out with us, Mary. I appreciate that. It's really fun. Yay, thank you. This is a French word for forgetting. It's about a dungeon where you leave people and forget about them. Oh my gosh, that's dark. I love it. That's really cool. Oh my goodness, sorry. I missed there's 30 more comments. This is me wanting to read every single one. I really, really want to. I'm going to go fast, okay? I'm going to try not to let myself write everything down. Especially with her Enneagram, something that feels personally, they chose this over me. Yeah, that's very true. Very powerful. I love that. Kind of like that her family and everybody knows about the veil except her. That'd be really funny. The Fae have to know, right? But I don't know if her family would know. I think it would hurt Mara more if her family rejected her and they had to remain trapped due to the injustice. Yeah, because they struggle with rejection and injustice. Big time on injustice for sure. Oh, I wonder if we could hammer in the injustice more. Do you guys remember coming back to this section where we raise the stakes? Do you remember how earlier on in the story, when we plotted our world, we had talked about the Fae are out to get the humans, basically? I think we phrased it better than that. So maybe in this beat, we see examples of them. Oops. How would we say this? Of examples of how their world is messed up and they're taking advantage of the humans. Oops, I can type. Does that make sense? That's an idea. Where did I leave off? I think right here. If her family under the spell is meaner, they could be saying stuff based on truths. Oh yeah, did we put in saying mean stuff? Oh, hold on. Yes, we did. Right here. Maybe they're just meaner under the spell and their rejections hurt because they're based in truths. Like maybe she's got some issues. She needs to be nicer to them too. Yeah, it really makes her hit home. I like that. Finds out the veil closed from one of her new friends. Yeah. Did I put, let's see, veil's closed. When, we're going to put question. When would she find this out? Oops. Question mark. From Riven, from one of the new friends, or when she literally like runs into it and bounces off or something like that. Let me know which one would be funnier. Uh, that's entertaining me. Obviously, I'm kind of like giggling to myself. There could be fae in the direct path, so they take a winding path. Oh, yeah. Let's see. The path to leave is, I don't know, I'm going to say tricky because there's a bunch of, not diversions, what's the word I want? Like roadblocks, I guess, such as fae looking for them, question mark, maybe? It could almost be worse if her family doesn't want to go. She could still make it through, but then she ends up by herself. Oh my gosh, that would be painful. But then she couldn't get back to her love interest Riven, right? So bad guys close in. I thought you wanted to be alone anyway. Oh, yes, you are a genius. Okay, where would I put this though? Under the mean things they say, if I can figure out where I put that, right here. I thought you wanted to be alone anyway, question mark. There we go. All is lost is I don't want to be alone. Yeah, to scroll forward to that section, it would make her finally face her misbelief, right? She says to herself, wow, why is this bolded? I don't want to be alone. Finally realizing the truth that she needs other people. And see, for anybody who's like, why are you jumping around? This is actually good. It's normal to jump around because honestly, that kind of means that things are flowing and that they're clearly working together. So that's actually a good sign, even though it feels really chaotic sometimes. Is the mom a full fae? I think so. I think we talked about that. Thinking about opening the veil could only be done with a full fae power. Ooh, see, that's interesting because we voted that it literally was like locked down, and like the fae and the humans, neither one have a way to get across. But if anybody wanted, like, if we wanted to vote on that, let me know if you want to change that. But I think we voted that it's like too late. I like that confronting her lie and having to choose between keeping her lie or her family. Yeah, all this thinking requires coffee. Thank you for hanging out, Erica. How long have we been going? An hour 20. Oof. All right, my goal is going to be let's get through the next 2 beats in the next 10 or 15 minutes so that we can still brainstorm a couple other things for anybody who has time to stick around. Is that okay? She needs to bounce off the veil. Face planting into the veil would be hilarious. I love it. Okay. This is coming back to what I was saying right here. It's so messy. Where did I put it? I literally can't remember. Oh, right here. 2 votes for she runs into it. I'm going to say 3 votes because mine is going to be that vote too. But if anybody else wants to vote for Riven, and there was 1 vote for friends telling her, right? I think that was what instigated this. And then me plus the 2 of you, that's 3 of us for her running smack into it because it's just funny. I don't know why that's so funny, but that is kind of the theme of our book too. Before I read this comment, we had talked about early on, like this being more cozy fantasy or like maybe some humor involved, which is the Friends comp, right? The TV show Friends. So it would be absolutely hilarious to bring in the face planning. She finds out the Fae plan to enslave more humans, and that she witnesses the beginning when she heard the deal as they plan to enslave the whole town. Ooh, okay, so that would definitely fit under this one, right? Maybe they're planning to enslave the whole town or get them all to agree to a deal, right? Because we're keeping it to our deals, and we're technically not calling it slavery, even though honestly that is kind of what it's turning out to be, for the sound of it. Which we could just call it and say that's what it is. Let's see. She can. Oh, this is a follow-up. So next time the veil opens, she can either just save her family, or she can save everybody. Excuse me. It means everything is linked nicely. Yeah, when it flows like that. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And let's see, friends. Yeah, bringing up the friends and face plant into the veil. That's a 4th vote. Love it. Oh my gosh, cracking me up. Love the idea of face planting. 5 votes. If she chooses between the veil to save herself and her family, then she would have to choose. Oh, hold on. Then she chooses herself and smacks into it. All right, that's another vote for smacking into it. Definitely face plant. 7 votes. If mom is full fae and mom is unseelie, would she have been the one to make the bad deal with the dad or something like that? So that would kind of make her the bad guy. That is very interesting. Hold on to that thought, Jessica. When we get to the mom beat, which I think will probably be next Saturday, so I hope you're around. So hold on to that when we start brainstorming that section. I like that. Another vote for face planting. I think we're having a clear winner here. All is lost. Maybe she gets to the other side, but her family can't follow her and she face plants trying to get back to them. So that would be all the way down here. Oops. Let's see here. Whoa, never mind. I'm just going to put this in a what if box up here at the top because I'm not sure. I haven't read these questions recently. So, what if she crosses over, but her family can't? And then maybe she can't get back to them. Only problem here is she'd be alone, which is kind of, it is a good all is lost, but it's a permanently alone when we probably want it to be more temporary alone. Like, for example, when it comes to I'm jumping ahead past the dark night of the soul. So everything feels hopeless. She feels alone, hitting her rock bottom. That's good. We do want her to be alone. I actually think that that's genius that we need to make her be alone somehow. But when it comes to the break into 3 and they have their aha moment, which we're going to brainstorm next time, she needs to be able to solve the problem for herself the right way. Like she needs to finally learn the truth and go ahead and like find somebody to help her. So if she's literally locked out, I don't think she can be proactive in Act 3. That said, I don't think she should be alone permanently. But somehow she should find herself completely alone, ? And we can come back to that. Dark night of the soul, the neighbor lady comes to talk to her. Like if she was on the other side. So like, how do I do this? Talking to someone about how alone she is. Neighbor lady, if she's on human side, ? So is she in the Seelie or the unseelie? She would be in the Seelie court for this one, is how we were talking about it. We were talking about earlier on Ryven and his friends, little friend group that became a found family, were all like either orphans or children of the unseelie court, the darker side, brought into the Seelie court, and therefore they're not really liked. So they have this thing that brings them together. They're kind of like the low man on the totem pole or whatever. One of the friends could tell her about the veil closing by making an offhand comment about it. So that's a vote for her not smacking into it, right? Coming back to our funny vote. Where'd it go? That's another vote for friends telling. Maybe her family doesn't recognize her because she's half fae and the glamour changes her. And so they don't want to follow her. So that would be coming back to right here. Maybe because now that they're in the fairy world, her glamour, Google Docs is not going to like this word. Oh, here we go. Glamour falls off, so they don't know who she is. Even if she doesn't realize that that's what happened. Let's see. The faceplant works. Mara is sassy and strong, type 8, but she's super awkward around Ryven. Yes. Sounding so good. I'm so excited you think so. Let's see. So maybe she has to find a way to keep the veil shut to save herself. We'll try to be around on Saturday. Good. I hope so, because it's going to be so fun. It's going to be our last one, and I'm nervous about it. What if her powers let her open the veil, or maybe all her friends come together to open the veil with their magic? Oh my gosh. No, he's already awake. Oh, shoot. Please go back to sleep, kid. We might have to end abruptly. Let's get through this really, really fast. All right, I'm going to come back to our Butterbook doc, and we're going to go through the questions ASAP, just in case this is our last 5 minutes, because I might have to go. How are the bad guys, whether external, like literal bad guys, or internal, making things difficult for the main character? I would say her family are almost like bad guys, right? Arguing with her and fighting, leaving. The Fae following them would be bad guys. Or if they're not following, but like getting in their way. Who else would be bad guys? Her internal I feel like it's obvious, but because he's awake, now I'm like, I'm going to turn this off for the last 5 minutes and then turn it back on so you guys don't have to hear him crying for a minute. Hopefully he won't cry, but her internal would be, and actually maybe my hubby's still home. Let me just check if he's home. Okay. Everybody's got to go too. Sorry. I think we're going to wrap it up here. This is going to be good. Face plant, another vote for that. Offhand comment, sense of dread. Yes. Okay. All right. So what do you guys think her internal bad guys would be, just to make sure we answer this? It would be the lies she's telling herself, right? I'm trying to think though. This is the beat that I honestly struggle with the most. I'm just going to tell you and be super honest with you that sometimes I leave this one a little bit blank and I'm like, we'll see what happens. So if you are a plotter who's like, yeah, I've got some hard spots in the thing, it feels loose and I don't know, that's okay. And if we don't figure this out, that's okay. But I think her internal bad guys would be loosely that she's being forced to do, I don't know, to ask for help. I feel like that might be backwards. Maybe she should be forced to be on her own. I don't know. Let me know what you think. He is crying, so let's go through this fast because I can hear him. Protagonist new plan based on the game-changing midpoint. We did solve that. I feel like I'm not going to retype it because this question from Abby Emmons, hold on, let me actually fix this. This question really lines up almost perfectly with, I think this question up here. Where is it? Oh, maybe not. I do feel like we answered it though. Oh, here it is, the new goal. It's basically this. What is the new plan, new goal? Same question. How can I show the opposition antagonistic force now getting closer to disrupting their life? I think we brainstormed a lot of that up here. So I feel like that's also in the same section. Supposed victory. Why does my protagonist think they will be victorious? What's happening to make them feel close, like they're almost there and they're about to succeed, essentially? Probably this would be when Mara is finally about to cross the veil with her family, right? I think. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm trying to go super fast because I feel bad about him. So this is where we come to the point of, does she cross over or does she face plant? Even though this was a fun thing to brainstorm, because everyone voted, not everyone, but I think there was like 8 votes back here. 8 votes for a face plant, right? So we're going to say voted that she face plants into the veil. So maybe this is going to end up being our all is lost moment. I don't know. What do you think? Does this feel like an all is lost? Believing her own parents is her own bad guy. Yeah, coming back up to this one. Right here. Believing the stuff her family is saying about her, essentially. All right, so let's go ahead and read through our questions because this is really going to help us brainstorm. Is the all is lost an external active scene where something happens to them? And I would say yes. If we voted that she runs into it, then yes. How does it not only ruin all her plans, but crush all her hopes and dreams? Now they can't leave. And is it big enough to make her reach rock bottom? I think so. Question mark. Because what else can she do, right? That's pretty much the truth of it. What else can she do? Is there a whiff of death? We can brainstorm this more later, but what if hold on, I think that is my husband outside. Are you home? Question mark. Poor baby is really having a hard time. He usually wakes up happy. So I think somebody is literally talking outside his window, which upsets me. I hate when people do that. Anyway, sorry. My mom mode is getting me upset at whoever's outside our window talking on the phone on the sidewalk. But did your hero cause this by previous actions? I don't know. Did she cause it herself? I don't know if we can answer this one fast enough. Yeah, mama bear activated. Exactly. And I just don't want to leave him hanging. So let me scroll through. I'm going to show you this for your own brainstorming. Um, if you're working on your story, we need to figure out why the disaster matters so much to our main character. In this case, I think it's obvious she can't get out. How does it make them realize they're responsible? That one I don't know. So I'm going to put question mark to brainstorm later. How does it force her to finally face her misbelief and lie about the world? Well, she's going to have to ask herself for help. If she was caught on the other side, her not wanting to be alone. So maybe she can go back and forth, but her family can't. This might be something we can put in the survey. I'm going to have to think on it. Actually, let me make that space there. And then last but not least, our dark night of the soul is a reflection beat. She's going to wallow in all of the things that have happened. So she's just going to be miserable. They're stuck here. My family doesn't want me. I'm all alone. I don't actually want to be alone, etc., etc. I will write that all out. This beat should naturally lead towards her epiphany in the next beat, where she finally learns the truth that she's needed all along. Which, if we remember right, let's scroll up to our theme stated, is being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness, but an act of strength. Okay? So, Dark Night of the Soul, at this point, their life should be even worse than it was at the beginning of the book. I think we can say check to that one. And does the main character hit a rock bottom? I think we can say absolutely. So, I will fill that all in later, probably tonight. If you're looking at the Butterbook document and you don't see it right away, it's because I'm going to go get the little guy and cheer him up. He might be hungry. But there you go. This is what we have. So, just to give you one last tour, I'm going to go ahead and go into the final version right here. I will scroll down to the bad guys close in and try, I'm going to attempt to put in what we brainstormed into these 3 beats. And then next time, next Saturday, around 12:15, all right, I think I'm going to change it to 12:30 to be safe. We're going to brainstorm these last 3 beats. And also you'll get access to the Butterbook so that you can look at the images that I put in, but let's end on these last few images. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see these. I got some fun Pinterest ideas. So this is a door like into a fairy tree. Obviously, we wouldn't have an actual door, but this could be a fun reference for size. Here's how I picture like a cozy inside of the tree feels. Um, this is what I picture, like, what if the underground has little rooms like this, and maybe Mara, since she's like hiding in somebody else's home, right? There's a bunch of little undergrounds, and we brainstormed a library early on with our very first survey. We had a library, and now he's gotten quiet. Maybe he did go back to sleep. And then, so this could be really fun to include, like maybe she like sneaks into something like this and just like that's where she sleeps every night. Here's one where it's like, well, what if they go up the stairs and there's stuff like above as well? Um, this is kind of like the Hobbit hole vibe. So maybe like some of the tree entrances have little homes underneath, or maybe they are like way less easy to spot, like this, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, where you got to sneak into it. And then there's like a little lone guard at the entrance like this, which I thought was really funny. Last but not least, this could be like really, really big trees, and there is a lot going on in the like upstairs portion as well as underground. And maybe like certain fae prefer living above ground, and then others prefer living below, et cetera, et cetera. And then the rest of this is just our brainstorming from before. So down here at the bottom, I have everything I think we brainstormed. We did bad guys close in. We did not get through our questions, that's above, and we did not get a chance to get to know our characters more, but we did get through the 3 beats. So here's some of the questions I already have for our next newsletter, and I'm going to go back through the doc and add the rest. Whew, thank you guys. You're the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And it's so funny because now he got quiet. As soon as I turn the monitor back on, it's like he's sleeping again. Oh no, he's not sleeping. Okay. I gotta go get him. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I will hopefully talk to you very soon. I will send you a newsletter, and it'll be super fun. So keep an eye out for that on this Thursday. I will link my newsletter below if it's not already. I'm pretty sure it's linked in there below if you're not signed up, and I will talk to you then. Thank you for hanging out. You're the best. This was so much fun. Have a great Saturday.